Hello and welcome again to this edition of Meet the Candidates 2020 on WCMU. I'm David Nicholas, and we are speaking with our guests this year virtually, joined this time by Patrick Wood. He is the Democratic candidate for Michigan's 84th House District, the challenger in this race. Good to have you, sir. Congratulations on the win in August. And in our first minute or two, tell us a little bit about yourself and your background and experience for the campaign.
Okay. Well, first off, I'd like to thank WCMU for inviting me today. This is a great opportunity for everybody. I'm Patrick Wood. I live in the village of Millington, right behind my ice cream shop that I've owned for 20 years. And I am currently the president of the Millington Downtown Development Authority. I am a former board member of the Southern Links Trailway, a non-motorized trailway that runs through three counties, Lapeer, Genesee, and Tuscola. I am running for this office based on what I've seen. I guess I'm running for this office because what I've seen in politics and in government in this area, I truly believe it was my time to step up and serve. That's what I'm here for.
As a challenger in this race then, and in the campaign running up to August and in the days and weeks since, you as candidate and voters you have been speaking with, what have you been identifying as what you would call the key issues for this campaign?
Education. Education and education. With COVID-19, I think we've seen a glaring hole in Tuscola and Huron County for internet access for our students. We need broadband. And that is something that I hear over and over again throughout the thumb. Very important.
As you look at it then through the lens of COVID-19 and bringing to focus then this issue of the lack of broadband access, how specifically in a proposal or series of proposals would you address this should you be elected to this office to bring that back to District 84?
Yes. For one thing, it has also shown a glaring need for some difference in how we fund schools. What we have to put forward is a plan that gives a school in Pigeon the same ability to give those students, those teachers, and those staffs the same access that Birmingham and Farmington Hills has. And that is something that we need to do. As we lose population here in the thumb, we are losing our ability for these folks to fund the brick and mortar of our school districts. So it's more than just broadband. It is a reform across education in the state of Michigan in order to get us there. So we have to place forth policies that bring a fair and equitable system to the thumb.
Do you and the voters have specific thoughts then of how we would change, either alter or completely overhaul and introduce a new funding model for our K-12 schools?
At this point, I think we're at a crossroads, really. COVID-19 has put in front of us some of the glaring needs. So we've really got to sit down as a whole on both sides of the aisle and with the education community to figure out what programs will work best first. It's almost like going back to the drawing board. I think we're going to be in a hybrid system moving forward. So we have to get with the people that know what they're doing, and that's our educators.
You use the phrase hybrid system, and that seems that could possibly be impacted in several other areas because of COVID-19. What other issues would you point to through or not through that lens in terms of how, once we emerge from this, how we would deal with other potential key issues? What would you say those issues would be and your ideas for addressing those?
Okay. For one, small business, mom and pop shops and family farms throughout the thumb. We have a diversification problem in the thumb. We're 94% white, and we've not diversified. And now we are seeing kind of a flight from our communities. We've lost over 6,000 people, I believe, in the last decade. This is something that needs to change. As we emerge out of COVID-19, we need to emerge open for business. And we need people to know that this is a wonderful place to live and work and raise families. And we need that infusion in these communities.
Are there specific areas then that you would look to, or proposals, I should say, in terms of how you would change that economic model and or the overall potential change in the population, again, being impacted here by COVID-19? How would you kind of repackage and remarket District 84 and the Thumb area in terms of, as you say, letting folks know that you are open for business and welcoming people in?
Yeah, I think there's some initiatives in all of our communities that we can use in our downtown development authorities that can entice people to come and make roots here. And the one thing that we've really got to look to in business, and being a business owner in this community for quite some time, the induction and infusion of Fortune 500 companies into our small communities. When we start putting dollar stores on the corner, the money comes into the building and goes out to other areas. Well, those folks aren't the folks that donate money to your local charity or your GoFundMe page. Those are mom and pop businesses throughout the area. Those are the folks that we need to shine a light on. And basically, shopping local. Not everything is a government initiative. Some things we can do together as a whole. And in the Thumb, we can support the Thumb. We live here. So that's one way. And the other is to make sure that our storefronts are fresh, our infrastructures are sound. Those are the things that are really going to help. And I got to go back to education. If you stem it from education, if you give your communities a proper source of that, the rest will fall into play.
If we return then to that focus or that look at education, what are you seeing aside from the issue you've already addressed with the funding disparity and the broadband as we've seen through COVID-19, in terms of the workforce that is being trained coming out of the schools to fill the jobs that you hope to fill for a growing and or changing economy here, still in the midst of COVID-19 and post-COVID-19?
Yeah. Well, first off, I've got to thank the people that are already out there in our school systems, our teachers, our administrators, and the staff. They do a phenomenal job. And with them, here they are. They're bringing in products out of their own personal funds in order to, have a classroom that is proper and suited for children. So those folks, as people come out of college for these jobs and trade schools, and some of the folks that are going to learn the trades on the job, these are the folks that we need to retain in this area. We need certain things for that to happen, and I can roll that back around to broadband. At 53 years old, I'm not tech savvy, but my children sure are. And it's not just for school; it's for access to the world, and that's one way you do open up business here. When you have somebody that works over the internet for their job, and they live in Huron County and they can't have access, well, they're not going to live here. So it boils down to some basic things. We have to move forward with broadband for education, number one, and small business, number two. And again, that should make it fall into play.
We've heard when it comes to infrastructure, obviously the emphasis in the last gubernatorial election, and it's been a common refrain several election cycles year after year in terms of addressing roads and bridges. You're bringing to mind and setting an even higher bar perhaps on broadband. Would you propose that we move that even ahead of some of the attention being paid to roads and bridges in terms of what could well be this changing hybrid economy?
I think we need to change the narrative on what we can and should do. I think we can do both. And with the tax structures that we have now that benefit people that have a lot compared to the people to the middle that this is being carried on. The taxes in this state and in the thumb are carried on by people with a median income of $42,000 a year. We need to change that structure. We made a freeway system in the 50s and 60s based on a tax base in the Eisenhower administration that gave us that. How could we do it in the 50s and we can't do this now? We can, and we have to change that structure. We have to change that tax structure.
How specifically would you or what ideas have the voters given to you to do just that?
Okay. Well, a good example is we can't have multimillionaires and billionaires paying $750 in federal tax over a decade. That I'm not a millionaire. I pay my taxes, and we have to have those loopholes removed. This is one big one. It's why are all these loopholes here to benefit the filthy rich while there's no benefit or deduction for me to do the same? And yesterday, a lot of the conversations I had were that, how do I do what they do? How do I get around this? Well, we don't, and nor should they.
In the final half minute or so that we have then, if you took all of these ideas, wanted to sum them up for one message that you would want to put before these voters as they get set to go to the polls, what would that final message be? We
as a whole are Americans. We live in Michigan and we live in the 84th district. We need to come together and we need to start compromising with one another for the better good of the people, not the better good of political parties and corporate entities and special interests. We need to do for the people what they ask us to do when they ask us to serve. That is what has to be done, and we have to start now. There's no need to call people names. There's no need to say that you're wrong and I'm right. There is a time now to come together, and that's what we've got to do.
Well, we certainly appreciate your time today, not only speaking with us, but to the voters. Stay safe. Good luck with the rest of the campaign, and thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
We have been speaking with Patrick Wood. He is the Democratic candidate in Michigan's 84th district race, the challenger in that race this year. A reminder that under Michigan election laws, all qualifying candidates for these campaigns were invited to participate in our program. I'm David Nicholas. On behalf of all of us here at WCMU, join us again, and remember to go out and vote Tuesday, November 3rd.